How are you, Andy? I hope everything's going well for you in India and your family as well and safe.
Yes, thank you, John. All is well.
Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful.
Hope all is well with you and all those as well.
Yeah, so far so good. Thank God, making the best out of a great situation. I'm super excited for Mr. Croft. Coach Croft Edwards he's already on camera. You guys can see beautiful and incredible human being who's going to be sharing with us such wonderful content today. So very excited for this talk and this session. Just waiting to give a chance for everyone to log in. So we're at 30 participants, 30 more seconds, and we'll start. Is that okay, Croft?
That's great.
All right. Okay, I'll take a quick sip of water. I think we can get started. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us on this incredible webinar with our wonderful and honorable guest, Mr. Croft Edwards. He's an MCC Master Certified Coach and president of Croft Plus Company, the genesis behind Leadership Flow. And we just had a really short conversation, kind of just touching base on what he does most of the time. And he communicated to me that he spends a lot of time doing somatic coaching. So I'm really excited to know more about the topic that he's going to discuss with us today and really understand how we can take advantage of his wisdom, his understanding, and his expertise in the field of coaching. So without further ado, I pass over the torch to you, Mr. Croft Edwards. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
your time.
John.
Looking forward
to good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are located. It's morning for me. I am Croft Edwards, and today we're going to look at this idea of somatic coaching, or really coaching through the body. And I call it the liquid accordion, with the idea being that we as human beings are this liquid accordion moving through life. And the beautiful thing is, because of that, it's a great way to coach. I call it coaching in, with, and through the body. And so as we go along, I'll share with you a little story, and then we'll talk about where we're going to go today. And my goal today is actually, we are going to have you be coached through your body. And I'll explain that when we get there. And I want to start with a little story. When I was 8 years old, my mother worked for a United States senator, and we went to an event. And the guest of honor was a World War II general named Omar Bradley, which in the United States, he was one of the about 9 five-star generals as a result of World War II. And when they introduced him, the entire crowd stood up and started clapping. And as an 8-year-old kid, I was greatly impressed by that. And so much so that I went to the library, and hold on just a sec. I think my slides are not changing. Let's see. I'm going to stop the share real quick and pull up my slides. Let me do this just a sec. Okay. There we go. And let me see if that's, nope, that's still not, for some reason our slides are locking up. Okay. There we go. And I was so much impressed by this event. I went to the library and I checked out a book on him. And I didn't realize it at the time, but reading that book actually changed the trajectory of my life, because it inspired in me and it piqued in me this question: why was he effective as a leader, or any leader for that matter? What is this thing called leadership? And this has evolved into, how do you actually do leadership? Right? And how do we actually shift and become a leader? And so this has led me on this path as a coach, and it'll be relevant because it was in somatic coaching that I found this idea of, you can actually shift. A human being can shift how they show up, and show up differently as a leader. And we'll talk about that. So a little bit about me. My background: I spent 25 years in the United States Army, both active and reserves. a little bit of my academic background. I have an MBA, and I also have a master's in Civil War history, where I studied the American Civil War and specifically looked at it from a leadership perspective. I'm an ICF MCC. I've been an MCC since about 2012, and I do a lot of coaching. My typical week, I coach roughly 25 to 35 people. So coaching is my passion, and I spend a lot of time there. I'm the president, as John said, the president of Croft and Company. We are a consulting firm, work a lot with different organizations, anywhere from mining, refining, to manufacturing, to medical schools. And I'm actually working a lot with U.S. military right now. My background is in ontological and somatic coaching, and I'll talk about that in just a little bit. And then finally, I'm also the author of a book called Perfectly Square. I'm actually, the title of the course, Liquid Accordion, I'm in the process of writing my second book, which is specifically on somatic coaching. And the working title right now, which I'm pretty sure it's going to be, is The Liquid Accordion. So our path today, we're going to talk just briefly, why do we coach in, with, and through the body, right? This thing called the liquid accordion. So we're going to spend some time there. We're going to talk briefly about what somatic coaching is. But the beautiful thing about the body is, instead of us talking a lot about somatic coaching, we're going to actually experience it. And I'm going to walk you through a coaching exercise where, if you'll allow it, I will coach you, everyone on the call. Don't worry, it'll make sense when I get there. But so we can experience what is coaching like in the body. We'll leave you with a practice, and then we'll spend a good amount of time just on questions of what questions you have around somatic coaching and that type of thing. So why do we coach in, with, and through the body, right? Why is coaching in the body? And for some of you have never even heard of this or even thought about this, but I want to kind of set this stage. And as I was on that journey of studying leadership, I came across an organization called the Newfield Network. And some of you may have heard of Newfield. Newfield was founded by a gentleman named Julio Alaya. And Newfield, the name was chosen, it's a new field of coaching, which looks specifically at what we call ontological coaching. And then as a subset of that, there is this thing called somatic coaching, and I'll talk about that. So Newfield has two fundamental models, which will kind of help explain why we coach in the body. And the first is what we call the OAR model. So as human beings, we take actions and we get results, right? So more traditional coaching would say, okay, you want to change your results, change your actions. And a simple example, let's say you said, you know what, I really want to run a marathon. And you came to me and said, Croft, I want to run a marathon. And so what we could do is we could get a 6-month training plan. And I would say, great, here on week 1, you're going to run 10 miles, and week 2, you run 12 miles. And if you take these actions in 6 months, you'll be able to run a marathon, right? You'll take the actions, you'll get the results. And we call this, another way to look at that is incremental learning, right? I just practice, and those actions lead to results. And that works until it doesn't work, because it doesn't take into account what we call the O in the OAR model, the observer. How I observe something determines which actions I see I can take and the results I get. So back to our example of running, if I look at running as something not fun, in fact, it sucks, I hate it, I'm not likely going to see actions that I can take, and I won't likely see the results I want. But chances are you know somebody that's a runner, and for them, running is life. They look forward to a 10-mile run. So the idea is, if I shift the observer would see different actions that they could take, which would get different results. And the idea here is what we call leap learning. So in ontological coaching, what we say is we want to, instead of just helping coach somebody to take actions, we want to help them see their observer. And this is why, and you'll see here in just a little bit, why somatic coaching can be so powerful. So then, how do we shift the observer? What does it mean to be an observer? And the basic model, what Neufeld calls the Bell model, is that first of all, as human beings, we are linguistic beings. We live in language, right? Language is the fundamental human technology. So if you think about this, a baby's born, and a baby actually only has one skill. And that skill is the ability to cry. And those of you that have had children, those first couple of days when a baby comes home, all the cries tend to sound the same. But over time, we start to be able to identify, oh, that's a hungry cry. Oh, that's a tired cry. That's a dirty diaper cry. And so that language, those cries turn into sounds, sounds turn into words, words turn into sentences, and sentences turn into conversations. So we look at language as generative. It not only describes our world, but we actually create our world in language. So we're linguistic beings. We're also emotional beings. Moods and emotions are a predisposition to action. As human beings, we are always in a mood or an emotion, right? And these moods and emotions that are predisposition to action, which says, here's the actions we want to take. And if you think about it, one of the reasons we have, if not the primary reason we have emotions, is as human beings, we get up in our world and there's all this data coming at us. Right? We look out, there's sunshine, there's rain, there's cars coming, and all of this data. And moods and emotions are the body's way of saying, oh, here's the actions I need to take, right? And all of us know this. For instance, I'm going to bet if you have kids and your kid is hungry, you're going to take action so that your kid can eat. There's an emotion to that, because you don't have that same emotion about my kids. No, none of you have sent me a check and said, here, Croft, make sure your kids have food, right? But you have likely done it for your kids, maybe your nieces, your nephews, your neighbors' kids, whatever the case may be. So we are emotional beings. And then the third piece of the puzzle is we have a body, right? We are not brains on a stick. And the body is the domain of action, right? So if you think about this, it's our body. Any action we take involves our body. When we're thinking, it involves our body. When we're typing, it involves our body. When we're speaking, it involves our body. When we're walking, right? And so the body then is the domain where all of these things come alive. And so what we say is then the observer is not this separate three things. It's where all these things come to life. Because if you think about moods and emotions, for instance, are universal. So if I said something right now that was very shocking to you, chances are you would do something like, you would pull your head back, your eyes would open up wide, scan the horizon, you'd take a deep breath of oxygen, right? And not only is that allowing your brain to start to take all the data in quicker and say, I've got to take decisive action, but it's actually the shape of the body which creates the emotion. And so we then start to explore the body, because if I shift the body, I can shift moods and emotions, I can shift language. Most coaching, and this is an assessment on my part, many times lives in the world of language. And the challenge, though, with coaching and language is we get into the coachee's story. Emotions are hard to coach to, because to coach to the emotions, we either have to go to language and deconstruct the emotion, or we coach the emotions through the body. And that's what we're going to explore here in just a second. But the basic idea then is the observer that you are sees certain actions to take to produce results. So then the idea, if we shift the observer, we can now create different results. And that's where we're going to spend some time today. And I want to make sure I've been talking a lot, obviously. We'll have lots of space for questions at the end of our conversation. So then what is somatic coaching? Right? Somatics is the study of the body in its wholeness. It's aliveness. And the way we look at somatic coaching is we're coaching to the body, with the idea if I shift my body, I will produce different moods and emotions. I will create a different story. Okay. And that's where we're going to spend some time today. And what I'd like to do is, instead of talking about it, I would like for each one of you to experience this. And so if you're on video or not, if you're on video, if you want to go off of video, that's fine. And I'm going to have you do this. If you can, stand up. Don't worry about me seeing you on the screen. I want you to be in a comfortable place. If you can't stand up, that's fine. And what we're going to do is I want you to think of a place in your world where you have what we call a breakdown, a place where you're dissatisfied, a relationship that isn't what you want it to be, a situation that isn't what you want to be. And when you're doing this, I want you to think of the most powerful breakdown you have in your life. You're not going to share this with anybody. You're going to just do it with yourself. And this will make sense as I walk you through it. But what I want you to do is really bring this breakdown alive. I want you to act as if it is reality. And for some of you, you may not have to act because it is reality. So if you can, stand up. If you need to, please place your audio on mute, and you can turn off your video. And I'm going to have you stand up, and I'm going to be quiet for about 30 seconds. And as I do that, I want you to bring this situation, this feeling, this thing that is causing you dissatisfaction in your life. I want you to bring it alive. I want you to feel it. I want you to embody it. I want you to act as if it is real. So as you're doing this, you may move around. My only request is don't go to language. So don't talk out loud, just have the conversation in your head. So bring it alive, and I'm going to be quiet for about 30 seconds, and then I'll tell you what to do next. And I'm going to have you stay where you are. Imagine that I'm going to walk a scanner through your body. And as I do, I want you to notice things like sensation, awareness, temperature, pressure, energy, or a lack of those things. Whatever you notice, just acknowledge it, notice it, don't change it. And I want you to just be aware of this, and I'll tell you what we'll do afterwards. So imagine the scanner starts at the top of your head, and as it starts at the top of your head, this is a scanner just like from, say, Star Trek or Star Wars. Just notice what you notice, and start at the top of your head and notice, is your head up? Is it down? Allow it to move down through your forehead, your cheeks, your jaw. Is there pressure there? Is there sensation? Is there awareness? Is your jaw clenched? Notice your eyes. Are they open? Are they closed? If they're open, are they focused? Are they relaxed? Notice into your breathing. Is your breathing deep? Is it shallow? Is it slow? Is it fast? Move into your neck and shoulders. Is there tension in your neck? Tension in your shoulders? Are your shoulders up? Are they down? Are they forward? Are they back? Notice into your back. Do you notice your back? Any sensation? Any awareness? And now move to your front. Notice your heart region. Are you aware of your heart? Can you feel your heart? Is it beating? Can you feel the blood moving in your body? Move into your lungs. your internal organs. Are you aware of your internal organs? Is there a pit in your stomach? Are there butterflies? Notice down into your pelvic region. Are your hips forward? Are they back? Now notice into your legs. Do you notice your legs? Are you aware of them? What about your quads, your knees? Are your knees locked? Are they bent? Notice your calves. Do you feel your calves? And then finally notice into your feet. Are your feet equal? Is one forward, one back? Are you on your heels, on your toes, on the sides of your feet? No right or wrong, just notice what you notice. And lastly, notice your energy. Do you notice energy? Is it slow? Is it fast? Is it moving in your body? Okay. And so what I'm going to do, I'm going to come out of the slides. And what I'd like you to do is, those that are brave enough that would like to, come back, bring your video on, and I'd like you to share with me, and I'm going to walk you through, and I'd like multiple people to do this. And we're going to start with the body. What physiological sensations did you notice? So I'd like some volunteers to share what you noticed. Make sure you come back off of mute.
Thank you so much for that, Croft. I didn't notice many things. I'll give a chance for the rest to speak. Just wanted to share with you that your screen was not being shared
Okay.
Prior to this, but it's no problem. You explained so clearly, so it was quite easy for us to visualize. I just thought I'd share that with you. And I'm going to shut up right now and give a chance for everyone else to talk.
Well, that's okay, John. What sense did you notice any sensations?
I did actually, and it's really interesting when I shifted the position of the observer from being in my mind and being in dialogue with myself to actually connecting with myself at the level of my body. I noticed
go ahead.
Tension in different muscles and areas of my body that I had not noticed before. So it was almost like
where?
My neck, shoulders, and middle back.
Okay, good. I'm going to stop you there and I'll explain why in a little bit. Who else? Sure. What physiological awareness did you have? Who's brave enough to say something? And oh, by the way, if you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh gosh, I'm nervous, I bet you can feel it in your body. So embrace your body. And what did you notice physiologically in your body?
I'm Helen. I notice high heart rate and some tension in my jaws as well. When you mentioned it, actually, I was not aware of it. And then you mentioned it and I felt some tension just here. So it was quite interesting.
Awesome. How about you, YB?
Hi. So I went back to a pretty heartbreaking situation. So I felt a shortness of breath, the energy being a little low. I could feel my body being constricted and a little stressed.
Okay. Anywhere specific you could feel that constriction?
Neck, shoulders. I think I experienced that.
Great. One more person. What did you notice in your body?
Hey.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. It was a very interesting experience for me, but when I tested, I feel like when you asked about energy, I feel that's my energy is distracted all over my body.
Okay, so when you say distracted, what do you mean? What did you notice with the energy?
I can't. I couldn't find a spot or an area that is my energy focused in. I felt my energy is distracted in my chest, in my leg, and I can't find my energy spot that focused in. When you asked about where is your energy focused,
okay.
So I felt that I'm distracted by somehow.
Okay, good. So thank you all. Now I want to ask the next is what if you were to assign moods and emotions or moods and emotions to this body, what moods or emotions would you say you experienced? And so please share with me your assessment of what moods and emotions you experienced.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you clearly.
Okay, so moods and emotions. What moods and emotions, if you were to assign a mood and or an emotion to this, what moods or emotions would you say you experience?
I was focused and attentive of my body, but I was look forward my physical dialogue because I was all the time think that my body moves automatically, not to focus on my areas.
I'm gonna interject here, and I do this purposefully. Just share the mood and or emotion. So what moods are, just say that the actual moods and emotions you feel, not the story.
Tension.
Okay. Anyone else? I saw some chats, pain, sadness, anxiety, okay, despair, powerlessness. Now, I want to ask the third question. I want participants to share this in one or two sentences, and one or two sentences only. What was the story that you were telling yourself? What was the theme, the meta story? But what was the story you were saying to yourself as you were in this body? Who would like to share that? Yeah, YB.
Hi. So the story I was telling was that this happened to me and I am the victim. I was the victim.
Okay. Yeah. I see Samantha said this is wrong and it should not be happening to me. Life is not fair, right? Now, whether you realize it or not, go back to, I talked about the basic model of the BEL. What we just explored was you had a body, a somatic experience, there were emotions, and you had language, the story. So whether you're aware of it or not, you revealed your observer. So this observer is now facing this issue. Now, one last question before we do it again. What is possible if this observer shows up to the situation? So if this is how you show up to this situation, what are the potential results? And who would like to share that?
Sorry, I'm not sure I understand the question. Can you rephrase it?
Yeah. So if this is how you approach your situation, with this body, these emotions, and this story running through your mind, what will likely happen in the situation? Right? So if I show up and I say life isn't fair, and I've got a body that matches and moods and emotions showing that, what will likely happen as I take actions? right? And people put like, we'll remain in the same loop and maybe more worse, right? So the idea is that if I show up like this observer, I will likely see very limited actions and I will likely get the same results.
Because I'm stuck in the same framework of thinking.
Yes,
so it's
I'm in the same story.
I'm manifesting the same reality that I'm currently perceiving, and I can't see past that, right? I
Yes.
can't feel past
Thank you, John,
that.
right?
I can't experience past that.
Yeah. And so my body literally is taken on this shape. And I go, oh, whatever my story is, life isn't fair. I can't do this. And now when I look to the horizon, I don't see possibility. So we're going to do this again, though. But this time, what I want you to do is I want you to show up at your best self. I want you to show up when you are on, when you're playing your best game, when you feel confident, when you feel like you can accomplish anything. And so I'm going to ask you to do this again. So if you can, please stand up. If you need to turn off your video, that's fine. And as you stand up, I want you at your best to show up. I want you to be your best. I want you to feel your best. I want you to breathe your best. And again, I'm going to be quiet for about 30 seconds as you become your best self. As you do this, wherever you feel energy, strength, power, whatever these positive things are, add about 10% more and bring it even more alive. And as you do this, stay in this body. And again, imagine the same scanner is going. And as it starts at the top of your head, I want you to, again, notice awareness, sensation, pressure, temperature, energy, or a lack thereof. And as you do this, you can use your previous body as a reference point or not. Don't worry about that if you don't. But start at the top of your head and notice your head this time. Is it up? Is it down? Notice your forehead, your cheeks, your jaw. Is there tension there or is it more relaxed? Notice your eyes. Are they more focused, more relaxed? Are they open? Are they closed? Notice your breathing this time. Is it deep? Is it shallow? Is it slower? Is it faster? Notice your neck and shoulders now. Is there tension in your neck and shoulders? Are your shoulders more up now? Are they more back? Speaking of that, is your chest more expansive? Is it more closed? Notice your heart. Do you notice your heart this time? What about your internal organs? Do you notice anything like pit in your stomach? Notice your back. Are you aware of your back this time? Down into your pelvic region, your legs. Do you notice your legs this time? What about your quads, your knees, your calves? Are your feet different this time? Are you standing different? Finally, again, this time, notice your energy. Is it more? Is it less? Is it more alive? Is it stopping anywhere? And I'm going to have you come back again this time. And like we did the first time, I want to debrief. I'd like a couple of you, please, if you can, go ahead and put responses in the chat. But I'd like a couple of you to share, what did you notice in your body this time?
Hello.
Yeah, sure.
I noticed that I was smiling. My head and my neck, shoulders were up. My back and legs were up. I felt my energy was shining, and my breath was faster My heart was beating fast. My feet were. I can't express more, but my feet were hot.
Okay.
So
that
was my experience.
Awesome. Who else? Who else noticed something in your body this time that you want to share?
I felt lighter and uplifted, and my head was just raising up automatically.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And then some people have written tension less, breath became more stable, full body is more relaxed, a stronger posture, chest puffed out, head up, chest open, heart more free, head clear. Okay. So if you were to assign moods and or emotions to this body, what moods and or emotions would you say you experienced this time? Who'd like to share that? There's somebody says more confident, excited, happiness and alignment. Right? Anyone else have some moods or emotions you'd like to share? Upbeat. Okay. And then one more person wrote hopeful. And then finally, in one or two sentences, what is the story you're saying to yourself now? Who'd like to share that? What's your story now?
Well, it seems to me that I have a choice to feel how I feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I have a choice. I can make meaning of a traumatic experience. I am strong and I can achieve anything, right? And so what did we do differently this time? So the first time you had a body, you had moods and emotions, you had a story. This time you shifted your body, you had different moods and emotions, you had a different story. So what would be possible this time if this leader, this you showed up and dealt with the issue in the first breakdown? Right? Because the way I look at it, and those of you can see I have a Rubik's Cube up, I define a breakdown as the Rubik's Cube is the example. So if I ask you, what do you see? Most of you would say, well, I see 9 blue dots. That must be the breakdown. But the way we look at it is, instead of looking at that, what if I shifted how I looked at that thing? It's the same thing, but I'm looking at it differently, right? I'm looking at the same thing, but with a different body, right? This example, if this is how I show up the first time, my shoulders are slumped, my head's down, my eyes have a limited place they can scan, I will see a different world than if I stand with my chest open and expansive, my head up, my eyes scanning the horizon. So what we've become is a different observer. And the different observer sees different actions that they can take to produce different results. So questions, because whether you realize it or not, you just did somatic coaching. There's an observer that shows up to a situation. We can shift the observer. We can get different results. So questions on that? And I want to open up just kind of broad questions.
I would like to just share a small observation if possible. I don't want to take up too much time from everyone else's asking questions. But I'm someone who's very passionate about quantum physics, and I do read up a lot on it. And as you were speaking, I couldn't help but recognize the fact that on a quantum level, in a quantum field, what we've been doing right now is actually quantum physics in a sense. Because, you know, in quantum physics, you have the observer, and however the observer, the scientist perceives the, let's say, exercise or experiment they're doing, at the quantum level, the outcome ends up being whatever it is that they believe is going to be the outcome.
Okay.
Which goes completely against classic science. And this really shocked scientists at that time. And it's so interesting to see that we can apply that in many different aspects. And I'm not saying this is the source of what it is, what somatic coaching is, but I was deeply, it deeply impressed upon my mind and my body that there was that similarity between physics at the level of the tiniest particle in our known universe, and how as human beings, we have the same power of recreating our reality through observing and learning. So I just thought that was
awesome.
Amazing. Thank you so much for sharing this.
And I would offer, as a coach, what we're fundamentally helping people do is shift the observer, right? And specifically in somatics, right? Yeah. Because if this is my observer, and if you can't see me, my head is down, my shoulders are slumped, I have a very limited world I can see.
Absolutely.
But again, if I shift up, oh, the world is a much bigger place. So I want to open it up to questions, observations, thoughts.
I think Venzo has a question. Thank you so much for that.
Venzo, go ahead.
Thank you, John, and thank you, Croft, for today. So my question is, this exercise that we just did today, does it work for everything that we use in coaching? For instance, let's say someone wants to overcome someone cheating on them, or maybe it's a habit. Does it work on every aspect, or is it specific for something?
Well, I would offer that in a big picture. Great question. The observer, like let's use the example you said, someone cheating on them. The reality is the person cheated on them. It's how they observe it that determines whether they see possibilities or limits. And I, as a general rule, I'm always, as a coach, I'm observing my coachees to see what is their observer, and is the observer they are serving them, right? So let's say they live in a mood of resignation or resentment, and they have a story that this isn't fair, this has been done to me, somebody's done me wrong, back to your, somebody's cheating on them. That's a certain observer. And that observer can only see potential paths forward based on the observer. And so if they shift the observer, there's new potential paths. In ontological coaching, we make the distinction that the breakdown is not the thing, it's the observer. Doesn't matter what the thing is, it's how I'm observing it. So I make the assessment, Venzo, that yes, I can use it, and I use it a lot as a coach. I don't always, do something, but at its core, I'm always doing something kind of like this. So does that help answer that?
Yes, of course. And to continue the conversation, is it better to use it at the end of a coaching session? Because sometimes a lot of our clients and coachees don't have that much awareness to change their perspective or change how they observe a certain scenario. And the example that we used, a lot of people play the victim role and they're not aware of it. So for you to tell them, and let's do the exercise at the beginning of a coaching session, they might close their eyes at the beginning and do the first exercise that we did. And then when you tell them, let's do an exercise where you think that you changed yourself as another observer, maybe they might not have the full awareness to see it from a full-on different perspective.
Well, and that's a very valid point. But what I find is that one of the things I'll do, if let's say somebody's really into a story and they're really a victim, I will spend some time asking them, is there a place in your life where you feel like your life is working, where you are at your best? And generally people say, oh yeah, it's, what, I felt it like in this relationship or whatever. And I ask them to go there. And unbeknownst to them, when they go to that new place, the new observer actually emerges. The challenge with coaching and language and trying to convince somebody that maybe you're in a story is their observer is going to be trying to observe this idea, but their observer is the old observer. So they're observing the story from being in the story. So if I'm a victim, I don't see myself as a victim because that's the reality. They screwed me over. So if we try to coach linguistically, they may resist that. But if we coach in the body, they're out of the story. So the reason I use the body a lot is I get people, it allows me to get them out of their story. And when I debriefed, if you'll notice, I said in 1 or 2 sentences and 1 or 2 sentences only, what is the story? And the story is, I can't do this. I'm not good enough, whatever it is. So we want to shift that. And the easiest way I found is if we shift the body.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. So you do suggest that we can use it at the end of the coaching session?
Yeah, I tend to, I don't usually mess around with, I don't spend a lot of time in coachee stories. As an example, notice I didn't ask any of you what your story was.
Yeah.
Because from a somatic perspective, I don't care. Right? It's not that I don't care about you. I don't care about your story because your story is your story. And my assessment is, as a coach, many of you have felt like, I can't get this person out of their story. It always comes back to they're a victim. It always comes back to they're a victim. It always comes back to they're a victim. So don't let them get to their story.
All right.
Get
Perfect.
them in their
Thank
body,
you so
because
much.
victimhood has a body. Right?
Thank you so much.
Thanks. Yeah, YB, you have a question. Go ahead.
Yeah. So if I understand clearly, you said seeing it from a different perspective, from different body, is basically raising consciousness, right? So the client raises consciousness and becomes the observer of the situation. And I am with you there. Like there are a lot of emotions hidden in the body as well. So working through the body helps. So my question is, can we just not take it to a different level where while coaching, would a physical transformation of the body of the client, say a big physical transformation, lead to a different transformation as well? Like if they run a marathon or if they do something physically, would that immediately change into emotions and language as well?
In my experience, so for instance, I'm a marathoner. And if you look at running, for instance, when we're in running, if we're running correctly, we actually have our chest expansive, our head up, breathing deeply. So I would make the assessment, if I think I heard you right, that yes, when somebody has a physical practice, it will likely change their view on life. So anybody here, if for instance, you were in a place where you felt overweight, your life wasn't working, and you took up something like running, and all of a sudden you saw the world differently. Yeah, because when we're running, our body's open. Anybody do yoga, right? Fundamentally, what is yoga? It's getting in our bodies. It's bringing our bodies alive. And the poses in yoga, and I'm not a yoga person, I've done it a few times, but the poses are about opening up the body. And what happens if we open up the body? What happens to our mind? What happens to our story? Right? And so, yes, so it's all related. And chances are, if I've got a coachee that's down and they're like, oh God, life sucks, I'm miserable, blah, 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 I'm going to bet that they don't have a physical practice. I remember one of my coachees was a big time meditator. And she showed up to me and she just, life sucked and blah, blah, blah. And I asked her, I said, and somehow we got on that she meditated. I said, well, how long has it been since you've meditated? And she said, like 6 months. And I was like, I think I know what your breakdown is. You need to go meditate. And it was as simple as she got back into meditation, and all of a sudden, what? Her world changed, right? So one of the things that we talk about, and I don't show it in this model, but one of the things that also makes us human is our practices. What we practice, we become good at. So if I'm in a mood of resentment and resignation, because I'm a victim, they did this to me, I'm actually practicing that body shape. And now that body shape, I'm actually good at, right? And we're historical beings. So now when a situation shows up, my body goes, whoop. Oh, I'm a victim. That's not going to work, right? And so the idea is if we learn to shift our body, we will shift our outcomes. So what I'm finding, I coach a lot to the body. Like I said, I don't really get into the story. Okay, so your boss is a jerk. Great. How do you want to deal with your boss being a jerk? Because that actually gives the coachee power, right? So now I want to be conscious of time, but if you think about it, we have this thing called an arc of coaching. Fundamentally, the way I look at the arc of coaching is there's got to be a breakdown. There's got to be some reason why they're here for the call. What we're helping them to see is here's your current observer, right? So you go back to your first slide. Here's the breakdown, which I think the breakdown is the issue. My boss is a jerk. My significant other is cheating on me. But that's not the breakdown. The breakdown is actually the observer. I'm looking at it from this perspective. So we get somebody to see this is how I'm looking at it. Then we get them to see, and there's a different way to look at it. So we have a breakdown, current observer, the future observer. And the last piece is practices, right? Because I've got this new observer, and my practice is going to help me to bring this new observer alive. But usually where a breakdown happens is people go, okay, you're right. My boss is a jerk. I'm going to be in a good mood. But that generally doesn't work. Because what happens the next time their boss shows up as a jerk, they go, whoop, and their body shrinks and they go, oh, this sucks. I hate my boss. So the last piece I want to leave us with is practices. Because the practices from somatic coaching are not thinking positively. The practices are showing up in this body. So when I've got practices for coachees, the practice isn't, be positive. The practice is, what if you were to start observing the world with your shoulders back? What if you started lifting your head? What if in the moment your boss is a jerk, your practice is to breathe deeply? Because if this body shows up, the boss is who they are, but because I'm in a mood of possibility, curiosity, playfulness, eagerness, ambition, now I can deal with the breakdown from a far different and more powerful perspective. So the idea with practices, what I want you to take from this is there are always somatic practices we can do. And I'm going to just give you a couple to be aware of. What I find is that there's certain places in the body which are very much prone to being catalyst. Okay. And I'm going to focus on three of them. The first is the eyes. Because the eyes, right, if you think about it, if I feel like my boss is a jerk and has power, my eyes go down. So a practice can be to be aware of my eyes. And I can relax my eyes and look at somebody openly, happily, right? The next place is the jaw. Most of us as human beings hold tension in our jaw, right? So I'm going to give you a quick example. I want you to get angry, but I want you to relax your jaw. So let your jaw hang, put space between your teeth, and I want you to get angry without clenching your jaw. My assessment is you can't. Because to get angry, what is the first thing we do? One of the first things we'll do is grit our teeth. We'll put tension in our jaw. if my jaw is relaxed, I can't do it. The third place I'm going to have you look is your hands. Because the hands are, if you think about this, if I am going to take any action right now, there's a very good chance it's going to happen with my hands. Oh, got to send an email. Got to take action. I'm going to stand up. If I stand up, the first thing I do with my hands is clench the armrest on my chair. Right? And think about this. If I clench a fist, I engage muscles all the way back up my arm, into my back, into my core. Conversely, if I relax my hands, I can't have tension. So do the same exercise now. I want you to get angry, but I want you to hold your hands like this and get really angry. My assessment is you won't be able to do that. Right? So, questions. I want to be conscious of time. What are your questions before we call it a day? Yes, do me.
Absolutely awesome, Croft. Thank you very much for that. Quick one on self-talk. What is the message you're telling yourself as you practice those practices that will shift from the side? So what is the self-talk, the messaging inside you?
Well, the challenge with self-talk is my self-talk may be what's getting me in trouble. Because I'm going to go, yeah, I can't do this. This is stupid. I don't have time for this. So what I would offer is quit doing self-talk, just do the exercise, right? So instead of having self-talk, just go, pull your shoulders back. Breathe deeply, right? The one practice I forgot to say is breathing. Breathing is the one thing we do as human beings that we will do every moment that we're alive. And research says most of us are doing it incorrectly, right? And I was told we can go a little bit past time. So I'm fine. If those of you that have to leave because you have a prior commitment, thank you so much for joining us. But I will stay a couple 5-10 minutes to answer any questions.
Thank you.
So Elise, what about you? What question do you have?
Yes, hello, thank you. I'm often doing this with my clients, even to take to let them be aware of their emotion. So, okay, this situation was hard for you. Where is it in your body? And I have some clients who are not used to do that, but agree to do, like, okay, it's in my chest, I feel like that. And other clients that are really like blocked, like, I don't know. And even if I try gently to do it in different session, different time, they are really like a block on expressing their body emotion. So we have some exercise to let them realize or be more aware or open to this somatic things.
So yeah, a couple of great question. A couple of things I do is, one is sometimes it's easy to get trapped into asking, well, where do you feel it? So what I'll do is I'll say, instead of that, I want you to go to your body, and I'm going to have them just sit in their body. And I may point out things. So I might say, so just notice as you're sitting there, notice your shoulders. Are your shoulders more up, more down? And they may go, I don't know. So well, here's something you could try. Pull your shoulders up, relax them. Hunch your shoulders, pull them back. Where do you say your shoulders are? And chances are they're going to go, oh, you know what? I realized my shoulders were forward. Right? And if they don't feel anything, I may have them put tension. So let's say they don't feel anything. Let's say, you know, take your fist, do me a favor, take your fist, put tension in your fist. Now relax it. Do you have any awareness there? And if they don't, that's okay. And if they don't, I may suggest that they take up a physical discipline. So a martial art, yoga, something, you know, ballroom dancing, something that involves them getting in their body. and a lot, because it may be, to your point, they just don't have that awareness. So something like yoga is great because they're going to be practicing that continually for extended periods. And over time, they're going to start to go, oh, I do feel something different. So there are people that don't have a lot of somatic awareness. But once, if we get curious and explore with them, it may be there. We just got to help them find it and explore that.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions?
And also the Bell model, B-I-L,
B-E-L, yeah.
B-E-L. We can find it easily.
Yeah, I'll send the slides,
Okay.
and you guys can get the slides. But the organization is the Newfield Network, Ontological Coaching. There's a book, a couple books I would recommend. One is called Coaching to the Human Soul by Alan Seiler. And he is the founder of the Newfield Institute in Australia. And you can order the books directly from him. There's another book which doesn't get as deep into somatics. I'll actually give a couple books. One is Language and the Pursuit of Leadership Excellence by Chalmers Brothers and Vinay Kumar, which looks at the linguistic side of ontological coaching. And then two of my teachers, one is Richard Strozzi Heckler, and he's at the Strozzi Institute in Arizona or in California. One of his books that I highly recommend is called The Leadership Dojo. And then another teacher is a lady named Wendy Palmer. And her book is Leadership Embodiment. And then another one is a lady named Amanda Blake. And her book is Your Body is Your Brain. And I'll have this will be in the slides I send, so it'll have them. Any other questions before we wrap it up and call it a day?
Croft, when will your book be out? Because we'd really love to
I'm
stay
working.
connected.
Yeah, I'm working on that. My plan is to have the first rough draft done by 1 October. And it's going to be specifically an introduction to somatics.
Okay.
So it'll talk about why we coach, where we coach. Literally, there's going to be pictures of the body and where to coach, and then how to do it. So as part of that, the scanner technique, I'm going to actually, in the book, there'll be a script for the scanner technique that you can do verbatim. So that being said, I think it will be out late or probably mid-summer next year, because I've got the rough draft and then I've got a lot of artwork to do for it. So.
Excellent. And where can we connect with you on social media if we wanted to follow through?
Croft Edwards. I'm the only Croft Edwards out there. Twitter, I'm big on. LinkedIn, would love to connect on LinkedIn. And if you have any questions, do not hesitate. My email is croft@croftandcompany.com, and that'll be in the slides also.
Thank you so much for that. And if you guys would like further information, always feel free to reach out also to TTA. We can forward you Croft's contact information. You've been incredible. Honestly, I've really enjoyed the session. I hope everyone else has.
Yeah. All right.
Thank
well,
you
everybody,
so much for your valuable time.
Yeah. I'll leave you with my last quote, which is a W. Edwards Deming quote. It is not necessary to change because survival is not necessary or is not mandatory. So there you go. So have a great one. Great meeting you all, and best of luck.
Thank you so much for your time. Thank you for joining us. Have a beautiful morning in the US. Everyone, thank you for joining Transformational Tuesdays. As always, it's a pleasure to have your beautiful and bright minds. And we wish you an incredible journey this week as you discover more and more about how you want to coach and let that impact your coachees. Take care and see you next Tuesday in another session with a brilliant speaker. Thank you, Croft. It's really beautiful to see you. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Soham, for your support. Thank you, Fernando, for being on board. Thank you, everyone else, for joining. God bless you. Take care. Have a beautiful day.
Okay. Bye now.